everybody. My name is Leslie Pyle, and I am the founder of HireMyMom.com. And today I'm so excited to have Laura Reich with me. She is a Pinterest superstar and strategist. I know we're all going to learn so much from her. So thank you, Laura, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got your start. What led you to become a Pinterest rock star?
Yeah. So I actually started out as a VA. It was when my 13-year-old was actually two.
Okay.
I was working and doing all the things, and he had come up to me and he had said, "You are always working." And I said, "I know, I feel like I'm always working." And I just got burnt out. So I decided that I needed to just focus on one thing that I really loved and that was doing really well for my clients too, so
Mhm.
that there was kind of that reciprocation. And um, before that time, I had gone to school for graphic design. And so I put my love for
Mm,
design with what I had been doing as a VA for Pinterest
right.
and just really focused there and started to really see how everything full circle kind of came together. My clients were happy, my family was happy, I was in a good mood, and it just kept showing through everything we did.
Yeah. And the saying is true, when mom is happy, everybody's happy, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
I love that. We often tell our community, though, to, start out and do everything and figure out what you love. And then when you
Yep.
figure out what you love, niche down, because not only will you get really good at your niche, but then you'll become more of an expert in that area and it'll grow, I think, bigger and faster by word of mouth because all of a sudden you are the Pinterest rock star instead of being the VA that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and it's totally true. It was really scary. I actually toggled back and forth for probably about 1 to 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, Still accepting the one-offs just because I was afraid about the income coming in for the family.
Right.
But when I stopped doing that fully and started realizing I wasn't doing a lot of outreach to bring clients in, but people were bringing them in for me because they
That's the
knew,
best.
yeah, they knew that Pinterest equals Laura. So it wasn't like, oh, could she be a good fit? It was like, yes, you need to go see her. And so when that started happening, that was like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love stories like that. So tell us, I know we're going to have people that are just barely dabbling in Pinterest, all the way up to people who love it and live in it. So give us your overview. What is Pinterest and how does it differ from some of the other social media platforms?
Yeah, so we'll start there. Pinterest is actually not social media. And so that is one of the biggest things that I want to have hit home for people. It's just like Google or YouTube, right?
Mhm.
People go to YouTube to search for a
Right.
solution.
Yes.
Pinterest is the same way, it's just visual. So
Hmm.
there's not the back and forth conversation that you have on social media.
Right.
It's more of a link to the solution of what they need visually in an image versus a video. And so
Yes.
that's really the big thing that I want people to know because when they start using it more like a search engine versus a social media platform, they're going to get more from it.
Right. And that's such a great way to describe it because people, including me, lump them all in together and say, go
Yep.
follow us on social media, which, YouTube's in there and Pinterest, but you're exactly
Yep.
right. We don't interact on those two platforms nearly as much. There might be a few comments here and there, but for the most part, it is a search engine. When I'm looking for a new, bedroom design, where do I go? I don't go to
Yeah,
YouTube. I go to Pinterest. The same
exactly.
for people in business. I'm learning that, people go there for, how to learn to do this or that, and knowing that not only can you learn, but visually it's more stimulating than watching a talking head a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and everybody learns differently too, right? So,
Hmm.
to go off of that point, you can use Pinterest to link to YouTube or to a
Hmm.
blog post or to a landing page or whatever you need.
Right.
Um, and then you have multiple different touch points. So if someone
Hmm.
likes to read versus likes to watch people talk, then there's different ways that you can bring them to those places.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, my next question. What exactly is a pin and how do you get people to your website? That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you're pinning about, usually you're hoping someone's going to click and either join or buy or something along those lines.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So there's a number of different ways that you can create a pin. The original way that Pinterest started was with just a static image, and it's a longer image, so they like the 2:3 ratio is what they call it,
Hmm.
because it takes up more visually on the platform. And then you put things on that image. So you can use Canva, you can use PicMonkey. They'll give you the right size template
Hmm.
to use, and you can do things depending on what you're trying to achieve, right? So if you are a product-based business, you can put your product shots on this
Hmm.
template. If you are a blogger, you can do text only on this layout. And what you want to focus on is 2 to 3 colors. Don't make it overwhelming. 1 to 2 fonts. So primarily maybe one, unless you're trying to call out like a specific word.
Right.
Um, and then focus on telling people what to do, right? And
Hmm.
the analogy I always use, which you might enjoy as well in your family, is I could go downstairs to the living room and see that it's a complete mess and get really frustrated that my husband's sitting on the couch watching TV, right? But if I didn't tell him that I wanted the living room to be picked up or the
Right.
laundry to be done, he's not going to know that that's frustrating to me because I didn't
Right.
say anything. So to him, it's just lived in. The kids are playing, whatever. So I need to be able to communicate that with him to pick up the
Yes.
living room.
Yes.
It's going to be the same way when you're online for your clients or your potential clients or your traffic to your blog or whatever it is. If you don't tell them what you
Hmm.
want them to do, they're not going to understand that that's going to take place and they can get more, right? So
Hmm.
if it's shop now, if it's we have a deal, click through to watch the video. Like there's a ton of
Right.
different call to actions you can have. You don't have to just say, click here,
Right.
but make sure that you're telling them from this image what's going to happen next.
Mm. Yes, that's a good point. And I think because just like the example you gave, we know it in our heads, so we just assume that everyone around us knows it too, but they don't.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you don't know, just go ahead and tell them what you want them to do.
Yep. Yep. And they'll appreciate it too because you have the description area, you have 500 characters, right?
Yes.
You can tell them the benefits, tell them what
Hmm.
they're going to expect when they get through there. Why do they want to go there? And then how to get there, right?
Yes.
It's you've got plenty of room to be able to do that.
Very good. Great point. Okay, so tell us what kinds of content can people post to Pinterest?
Anything that has a URL. So, I mean, I have people that are in my management, we are repurposing our clients' TikToks,
Hmm.
and putting the video on Pinterest and then linking back to either a blog post or to the original TikTok if that's where they want to grow.
Hmm.
My suggestion to you is what is the goal, right? Where do you want them to go? If your goal is sales, where are you having those sales conversations? Are
Hmm.
you having them on YouTube? Are you having them on Facebook? Are you having them on your blog, right?
Right.
That's where you want them to go. And
Hmm.
so you need to think about those things in terms of what content do I have?
Hmm.
Where are those conversations happening? Just a rundown of a list. You can repurpose any articles. So, LinkedIn Pulse,
Hmm.
um, any blog posts, any on Medium, anywhere that you post an article, you can have links to those. You
Hmm.
can send people to Etsy stores or Shopify stores. Um, You can send them to Instagram. You can send them to YouTube, to landing pages to sign up to get on your email list. I mean, there's more that I could keep going. Facebook
Right.
live stream videos, like there's a ton
Yes.
of stuff that you guys can link to.
Almost
You just got to
endless
be
options.
intentional. Yeah, you just got to
Yeah.
be intentional with it.
Right. Yes. Very good. How is Pinterest a search engine?
So people go to it to search for certain solutions, whether
Mhm.
that's to purchase, whether that's to learn something, or to figure out something on their own, right? The DIY is huge. We all know that.
Yes.
Um, People are typing it in the search bar at the top of their Pinterest app or on their desktop. And
Mhm.
so, what you need to do is you need to be able to use those words that they're going to be typing in. So,
Right.
if they want to learn more about blogging, right, you're not just going to type in blog, but you're going to type in what is the topic you're helping answer. Can you make money blogging? So, then you would maybe search for a phrase that talks about earning income while blogging,
Mhm.
things like that. That's how it turns into that search engine. So you need to take a moment, do some search yourself on
Mhm.
what you think people are looking for, see
Right.
what pulls up underneath for other pins. If that's content you also provide, that's
Mhm.
a keyword that you should be using.
Right.
And then Pinterest provides a free tool. It's trends.pinterest.com. And
Okay.
so if you go there and type in blog, it's going to give you a bunch of other keywords and it's
Mhm.
going to show you how it's trending. Is it going up in searches? Is it kind
Mhm.
of tapering off? And then you can play around with those and figure out what is actually trending to pick up off the keywords so you can be found first.
You're right. Oh, that's great. I hadn't heard of that. So that's a great option for people to look into.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling to figure out if it's worth your time to be on the platform, that's the same thing that I tell people to do is go to Pinterest, search
Mhm.
your niche, search what it is you offer in terms of services, products, solutions, it doesn't matter. And then again, if what pulls up under that search is what you provide or you can talk on,
Mhm.
then that's where you should be because there are other people being found over your stuff because they're utilizing the search engine like it is.
Yeah, great point. That's great. I love that. Okay, so people want to save time, how
Mm.
they don't want to go post every pin one at a time. So,
Yeah.
how can you automate your Pinterest feed and your post?
Yeah. So personally, I use a platform called Tailwind. There are a number of different platforms out there. So I will preface this as that is not a hard and fast rule.
Hmm.
Go to Pinterest and look at what is approved partners. They will tell you what they approve to be able to use as a scheduler.
Hmm.
And one of the benefits from Tailwind is they'll actually help pick times. They'll tell you when your engagement, like the repins and the click throughs, are happening.
Hmm.
And there's a number of other benefits. But what I do is I structure a half hour to an hour. The first portion of that time is to batch out the designs, right? So my titles, just quick make those graphics and designs in Canva is what I use. And then I upload them all to Tailwind and they're all in a drafts folder in there. So then I can take the rest of the time that I have scheduled out and schedule out as many pins as possible and where they're supposed to go. You'll have set up a schedule in the platform. So
Hmm.
if it's one pin a day, if it's 20 pins a day, it will constantly put that out for you. So I can be scheduled out anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks ahead, knowing that this is what I'm going to be working on and this is what I want promoted.
Right. Yeah, and that's such a great way to batch your work, get it all done, and then let it roll. I know that's the way I've found I work really well is I love to
Yeah.
batch things. Like even with my YouTube interviews, I like to batch them all in one day. I'm kind of in the zone. I feel like it gets me more productive and then batch them, upload them. The same idea with Tailwind or whichever scheduler
Yep,
you're using, because I think you really are more productive when you do it that way. And you can see
absolutely.
at a glance all the things that you're posting for that week or 2 weeks or whatever, and
Yep.
know what other variety you might want to add the next go round.
Yeah, yep, I completely agree. It's super helpful. The only caveat to that is I would say make sure that you schedule out 10 to 15 minutes a week if you're going to
Mhm.
batch out the month to just check on your analytics. Check and see how they're doing. Because if 2 weeks in, they're not really getting picked up, or you're not getting, I wouldn't say the link clicks, I would say the impressions and the views that you need on those
Mhm.
pins, then maybe you should start looking at changing some of the descriptions and the keywords,
Right.
so that you can start to increase that reach. Because if you don't increase the reach, you're not going to get the click throughs on the back end.
Right. Yeah, very good point. All right, I know there's so much more. We've barely
Yeah.
scratched the top of the surface of all there is to know about Pinterest. So, for anyone that wants to learn more about you, your services, your advice, where can they find you?
Yeah, everywhere on social media, I'm Laura Reich. And then I do have my Pentastic toolkit that kind of helps you guys. There's templates in there. It talks about how to read your analytics, how to get started or advance your descriptions, your call to actions. And that's at laurareich.com/toolkit.
Awesome. And we will put those links here in the bottom. So if you're driving or you don't have something to write with, and Rike is Rike, in case you're wondering.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Laura. You have been a joy to have. And I know people are just going to want to learn more about Pinterest and this great platform.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.